Buddha sat under the shade of a sprawling banyan tree, surrounded by his attentive disciples. The air was still. His serene voice began to flow like a gentle river, soothing yet awakening. Fear arises when we cling to illusions of permanence, Buddha said. Gazing at each disciple with deep compassion, we fear letting go. Our attachments become chains, binding us to suffering. Let me share a story to illuminate this truth. He paused, letting the disciples lean into the silence before continuing. Once, as I wandered through a dense forest, I encountered a young man named Sudha. He held onto a large golden jar. His eyes revealed his torment, though he clutched the jar with unwavering determination. Why do you carry this jar through the woods? I asked him gently, Buddha recounted. Sudha replied with trembling words, this jar contains my wealth. It defines me. The stream does not resent the rocks. It simply flows and adapts to its surroundings. Buddha leaned forward slightly, his presence radiating an aura of understanding that seemed to reach deep into my spirit. I asked him, does this jar bring you peace or deepen your pain? Sudha hesitated, his gaze shifting downward. He whispered, I fear losing it. He continued, many cling to illusions, mistaking them for permanence, and this causes suffering. Do you see this in your own life? His question was simple yet profound. His words resonated within me, though I struggled to fully grasp the profound simplicity of the wisdom he offered. Master, I asked, how can I learn to flow like the stream and let go of this sense of resistance? Buddha picked up a small pebble and held it up so I could see its smooth, weathered surface gleaming in the light. I cannot let it go. Buddha's voice softened, tinged with sorrow. I nodded, understanding the metaphor but feeling the question still lingering in the recesses of my mind and heart. Even if I accept the challenges, I said, how do I stop feeling like they are consuming and overpowering me? Buddha placed the pebble into the stream, watching as the water carried it along, disappearing into the gentle current. The weight of the teaching began to settle within them. I left Sudha with this thought and continued my journey, Buddha said. A few days later, I returned to the same spot. To my surprise, I found the jar abandoned beside the path. But, Master, I persisted, what if the challenges feel endless? As though there will never be an end to them? Buddha looked at me with unwavering kindness, his gaze steady and filled with an infinite depth of compassion. The stream flows endlessly, he said, not seeking an end but simply moving forward, embracing the journey as its purpose. What changed? Sudha responded, I realized its weight was drowning my spirit. I have lost the jar but found my freedom. Buddha's eyes twinkled with kindness as he addressed his disciples. You see, fear stems from our unwillingness to let go. It blinds us to the truth of liberation. A disciple raised his hand hesitantly. Master, how can we let go when fear grips our hearts so tightly? Buddha nodded, acknowledging the depth of the question. Fear is a shadow cast by the mind, not the heart's truth. To overcome it, start small. Release minor attachments and observe the peace that follows. Letting go is not losing. It is gaining freedom, Buddha continued. Consider this: a bird that clings to a branch cannot soar into the sky. To let go is to trust the wind. The disciples reflected on his words, their faces illuminated with newfound understanding. The teachings sank deep, like seeds finding fertile soil. Buddha then offered a simple practice. Close your eyes and imagine holding onto a heavy stone. Feel its weight pulling you down. Now, release it. How does it feel? The disciples obeyed, their expressions softening. Some felt a profound sense of lightness, while others wrestled with lingering hesitations. Do you see? Buddha asked, his voice gentle yet penetrating. The stone symbolizes your attachments. The act of releasing it symbolizes freedom. One disciple, still troubled, asked, What if we fear losing love or connection by letting go? Buddha smiled with infinite patience. True love is not possession. It is freedom. To love without clinging is to love purely. The disciple nodded, tears welling in his eyes. The simplicity of the truth struck a chord within his heart. Buddha concluded the teaching with a profound statement. Remember, life is a flowing river, not a stagnant pond. Cling to nothing. Let the current guide you. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude and awe. Buddha's words had planted the seeds of courage within their souls. Life has a rhythm, Buddha said. It is subtle but ever present, like the stream flowing or the bird singing. Another day, as the sun cast golden rays over the village, Buddha addressed his disciples beneath the same banyan tree. His gaze moved across their faces, perceiving the quiet storms that brewed in their hearts. He began to speak softly, his voice weaving through their thoughts like a calming breeze. Let us discuss today the illusion of possession, Buddha said, his tone steady and compassionate. Our hearts are often entangled in what we think belongs to us. But does anything truly belong to anyone? One of the disciples, Anand, raised his hand. His eyes bore the weight of unspoken doubts. Master, how can one find meaning without the things we hold dear? Aren't our belongings a part of our identity? Buddha smiled, patient as the river that carves through stone. Allow me to tell you a story. Anand, he said, it is a tale from my days as a prince. Before I understood the folly of ownership, in the royal gardens, there was a swan that visited the lake every morning, Buddha began. Its feathers were like silk, and its movements brought peace to anyone who watched. The entire palace admired its beauty. I, too, felt a deep connection to the swan, Buddha continued. But one day, a thought took hold of me. I wanted to make the swan mine, to keep it near always. His disciples leaned forward, their eyes fixed on him as his words painted vivid images in their minds. I called for the royal falconers and instructed them to capture the swan, Buddha said, his voice tinged with faint regret. With great skill, they placed a delicate net upon the lake one evening. By morning, the swan was caught. When the swan was brought to me, I felt a fleeting joy at having what I desired, Buddha explained. But when I saw it up close, its spirit seemed diminished. The swan no longer glided freely, its eyes dull and full of sadness. Buddha paused, allowing his disciples to absorb the image of the captive swan. A gentle wind stirred the leaves above them. I asked myself then, Buddha said, his voice growing soft, is the joy of possessing the swan greater than the joy of witnessing its freedom? I realized my desire to own had clouded my ability to truly cherish. He continued, his tone deep with wisdom. The swan was released back to the lake that very day. As I watched it fly into the sky, I felt a profound peace. I understood that joy is found not in possession but in connection without chains. Come, Buddha said, leading the monk to the water's edge, where sunlight danced upon the moving surface, creating patterns of light. Buddha cupped his hands into the brook, lifting water before releasing it back, watching ripples form and spread across its surface. Buddha turned to the group, addressing them all. Ask yourselves, what do you cling to out of fear or desire? And does holding on bring you freedom or suffering? A younger disciple named Sena hesitated before speaking. The mind is like this brook, Buddha explained. When disturbed, it forms ripples, thoughts and emotions that disrupt its natural flow. Instead, you shed illusions and discover what truly endures, he continued, his words resonating like the steady beat of a drum. Imagine a lotus flower floating on a pond. Does it cling to the water? No, yet it thrives. The disciples grew silent, their breaths steadying as they reflected on the profound metaphor. Buddha allowed the stillness to linger before offering further guidance. Possession is an illusion because nothing in this world is permanent, Buddha said. The swan, the gold, even your own body, they are all impermanent. Clinging to them is like trying to hold water in your fist, he demonstrated by scooping water from a small bowl nearby. As he squeezed his hand, the water escaped between his fingers, leaving his palm empty. Let go, and you will find that your hands are free to hold the treasures of the present moment, Buddha explained. Treasures that cannot be bound by time or loss. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the gathering. Anand, now deeply moved, bowed his head. Thank you, Master, he whispered. The monk listened intently, his breathing slowing as Buddha's words began to resonate with a truth he had long sought to understand. But what of the feelings that remain? Master? The monk asked. Anand, fear not. The act of releasing is not the end, it is a beginning. Each step you take away from clinging leads closer to the heart of freedom. The banyan tree seemed to echo the wisdom of the teaching, its branches swaying gently in approval. The monk placed his hand over his chest, feeling the rhythm of his own heartbeat, seeking connection with Buddha's profound teaching. Master, he said, his voice quieter, how can I begin to see these storms and emotions as friends instead of adversaries? Buddha picked up a fallen leaf, holding it gently between his fingers, its delicate veins visible in the morning sunlight. To release without regret is the greatest act of courage. The disciples bowed in unison, the serenity of the teaching settling into their spirits like the soft glow of twilight. Another day, under the canopy of the ancient banyan tree, Buddha gathered his disciples, sensing the questions lingering in their hearts. His eyes radiated tranquility as he began to speak, addressing the path forward for those yearning for liberation. It is time to speak of practice, Buddha said, his voice steady and profound. Understanding alone cannot free you from attachment. Practice must follow. Meditate not to control the mind but to observe it with kindness and patience. In stillness, he continued, the ripples within will settle, and you will see clearly the truths that the storms carry. During my travels, I encountered a farmer named Javaka, who was burdened by his relentless attachment to his land. Buddha paused, allowing his words to settle in the minds of his disciples. When he opened his eyes, Buddha's gaze met his own, filled with unwavering compassion and encouragement for the journey ahead. You have begun to see. My friend, Buddha said softly, with time and practice, the storm within will no longer overpower you. Thank you, Master, the monk said, bowing deeply, his heart lighter as he carried this newfound wisdom back to his daily life. The disciples watched in silent reverence, absorbing the lesson through the example of their fellow seeker and the guidance of the Master. Buddha stood, his presence radiating a profound serenity that seemed to embrace everyone around him. A living embodiment of his teachings. Life flows like the brook, Buddha said, his voice carrying through the grove. When we embrace its rhythm, we find true peace. The sunlight continued to filter through the trees, casting dappled patterns on the ground as the disciples reflected on the day's lesson. The monk walked away, his steps steadier, his spirit lighter, and his heart more open to the rhythm of life's flow. He said, I have found peace. He realized that his land was never truly his, Buddha explained. By letting go, he could finally embrace the freedom to breathe. His disciples murmured softly, the seed of realization stirring within their hearts. Buddha turned to his disciples, his gaze unwavering. You must practice letting go in your daily lives, he instructed. Start with small acts. Release anger, disappointment, or the need for control. He continued with a gentle but firm voice. When you give, give freely, without expectation. When you love, love without conditions. This is the path to liberation. A disciple named Mahin raised his hand hesitantly. Master, How do we overcome the resistance within us when fear takes hold? Buddha nodded, his understanding evident. Fear thrives on the unknown, he said. Face it as you would the wind. It passes and cannot uproot the grounded heart. He addressed the group once more, offering a simple practice. Imagine your fears as a flame. Watch as the flame flickers but burns away its fuel. Let it fade. The disciples closed their eyes, visualizing the flames of their fears. Some wept quietly, the weight of their struggles lightening as they embraced the imagery Buddha had provided. Non-attachment does not mean losing everything, Buddha said with reassurance. It means holding space for the transient nature of all things without losing yourself. A disciple named Senna approached Buddha, his voice steady yet tinged with emotion. Master, how do we balance loving deeply without clinging to those we love? Buddha smiled, his answer rooted in boundless compassion. Love is pure when it flows freely, like a river that nourishes all without demanding to be contained, he continued, offering further guidance. To love deeply is to give fully, yet release freely. This balance sustains both the giver and receiver without burden. What wisdom does the stream hold for us today? I asked, eager to uncover the layers of meaning within his words. He turned his gaze toward the rushing waters, his expression contemplative yet tranquil. Buddha concluded his lesson with one final practice. Every morning, release a thought, a fear, or an object that binds you. Begin your day unburdened by attachment. His disciples nodded, their hearts ready to embrace the path of non-attachment with renewed determination and courage. Freedom lies in trusting the flow of life, Buddha said, his voice resonating like a sacred melody. Cling to nothing, and you will find everything. The sun dipped beneath the horizon, its golden light enveloping the gathering. The disciples bowed deeply, their spirits illumined by Buddha's timeless wisdom. His words evoked a sense of purpose within me. Master, how does service lead to happiness? Service, Buddha reflected, is an act of love. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.